Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a quick look at the prop firm Toptiertrader. I'm going to be identifying a few things that I like about the firms and a few things that I think you should be aware of and keep in mind before you purchase an account with them. So definitely stay tuned and let's find out what the pros and cons of this firm are. And first of all, of course, we're going to start with their website. Now right away, has a very clean look, very nice in the prop firm industry. And I want you guys to remember this specific phase or specific page down here. So as you can see, this looks very, very, very similar to other prop firm home screens in terms of what you're looking for when, what does the challenge actually entail? 10% phase one, 5% phase two, and they do have options where you can drop that down to an 8% profit target in phase one as well, but more on that later. So as you can see here, everything looks fairly normal. We have all of these options you can enable on your account for a fee. And I just want you guys to remember this because I'm going to be referencing this at a later part of the video where I think something is missing off their front page of their website. Before we hop into the next part of the video, guys, full disclosure, I did take a challenge with Toptiertrader in the past, and I did happen to pass phase one, but ended up failing phase two. And I'm going to discuss some reasons I think that may have happened and kind of what rules or what hidden rules, better way to put it, kind of stopped me and cut me short in that challenge for my normal progression. So guys, to quick highlight some rules that I think are important to look at with this firm. They have these all in or nothing trading styles that are banned, gambling and betting behaviors that are banned, and they loosely define them, and I think that's on purpose because essentially what happens, since these are violations, if a trader loosely does gambling behavior and all in or nothing trading style, they're going to be able to deny payouts more, deny you from getting to a funded account, and I think stuff like this is written very vaguely on purpose on their website and their rules so that a trader has less chances to get to the funded stage. And it's kind of worrisome, and we're going to look at a few reviews that I've reviewed and my own personal story that kind of like makes me have second thoughts about how vague these rules are. But before we do that, let's actually hop into their specific lot size limit rules and what that looks like. All right, everyone, looking into the over leveraging section, let's go ahead down and look at the triggers for what caused the over leveraging violation. So right here we have a few numbers and a few things kind of thrown up that don't really give the trader an exact idea as to what they're looking at. So we're actually going to hop over to an example. Now, before we hop over to the example that I've constructed for us using rough numbers, let's go ahead and actually look at their calculator for this. This can be a little bit tough to understand if you're just trying to do it in your head, but they do in fact require a little calculation for you, which is helpful. But once again, this particular part of the website is a little bit hidden. As you can see, if we go to all collections, rules for accounts, you read through all of these, and if you're reading just like this, you might say, oh, well, risk management and strike policy, what's that? Examples of over leveraging. Now you have to understand that most people, unless they're, and unfortunately, this is the unfortunate case, but most people aren't reading the rules right away when they buy the account. That's just not the reality. So most people are not reading the fine print either. So when people get to this after they had a kind of misstep in their account and they come down and finally read what was written kind of hiddenly, it kind of leaves them with a bad taste in their mouth, which we're going to hop over and look at some reviews in just a second. But once again, kind of finding three pages through there, and actually even more pages because you have to click on the FAQ section of their website. So going finally over to the over leveraging section, let's take a look at how we can kind of calculate what's going on. All right, guys, here we are in my quick calculations. Now, just to preface this, these are rough calculations, so these are not going to be exact. And in fact, if you're using this as a guide for your trading, I would recommend using less or a lower lot size limit than the max I've described. In fact, I think it is even a little bit less than this. So I would not recommend using the max limits that I've described on the right side here. I would use lower than these just in case, including fees and spread and whatnot. I would use less than this. All right, so kind of looking at this through an 100K account example, let's actually see what we can do here. So as you can see on the left here, Forex and major currency pairs, a violation occurs if the total open position generates a profit or loss greater than 25% of the initial daily drawdown with a 10 pip movement. So doing some quick calculations, we know that $1,250 is 25% of 5,000, meaning that if I'm using Euro USD as an example, that means I can use at a maximum, and once again, I'm prefacing this, that you should be using lower than this, 12.5 lots on EU because a 10 pip movement in that at 12.5 lots will be $1,250 in profit or loss. So same kind of applies for Bitcoin. And in fact, cryptocurrencies actually have it a little bit worse in my opinion. You're only able to do a max lot size of 2 Bitcoin, right? Because 1 Bitcoin, if it moves $500 in price, that's $500 because it's a 1-to-1 ratio with 1 lot on Bitcoin. So at 2, you're already at the max at 1,000. So really, their cryptocurrency leverages are quite low. Now, if you're trading a lower price coin, for example, like Ethereum, this actually might be better, but trading Bitcoin on this site, in my opinion, your restriction on your lot size is a little low. So I'd kind of recommend sticking to stuff like Ethereum and Solana if they offer it. Moving on, indices, also the same kind of thing. Not a lot of leverage for things like indices, US30 being the most popular, and same goes for gold in the 10 pip, 12.5% initial drawdown limit, which I feel like this calculation can be a little confusing because, you know, when you buy an account challenge, you think, okay, I have whatever my daily drawdown limit is to use however I want. Wrong. For top tier trader, you're actually kind of limited in what ways you can use that. So keep that in mind when going ahead and taking account with them. Moving on. Let's look at some upset customers from these issues, and I'm going to touch on my own personal story and what happened with me with this specific firm as well. So as you guys can see, once again, they do have a overwhelmingly high reviews. Now, Trustpilot isn't exactly the most trusted anymore, as you know, there has been stories of fake reviews, but they do still have an overwhelmingly positive reviews on their website. So, but you know, taking a look at a few of the 1 stars. As you guys can see, if you just quickly glance over them, I'm not going to read them all out for you, but these guys are basically talking about the same things that I was talking about on the hidden lot size limit rules. They didn't know, right? They didn't read that part of the website because it's not advertised anywhere when they're setting up the challenge or on the front page, which is what most people only look at. Now, I understand that when you take a contract with a company such as this in prop trading, you are liable to read everything and understand everything fully. But once again, that is not commonplace in the industry for most individuals or most, you know, average Joe to go ahead and read all the rules. Okay, so they kind of know what they're doing. They know they can get away with it because it technically is in the rules, but it's not really broadcasted on the front page of their website enough. So definitely be careful with that. But as you guys can see, once again, these guys are just talking about the loss limits and how that has negatively affected them. So going into my story, so essentially what happened is I was in a bit of drawdown on my phase 1 account. And I had I would call a sniper entry on Bitcoin. I remember this very specifically. And since I was getting low on my drawdown and I had about 3 or 4% left on the account, I saw that as an opportunity to kind of pile on the risk on Bitcoin. And I, in fact, did nail the exact bottom, used a lot of lot size, and that was able to get me back up out of drawdown into a slight profit, not enough to pass the account, but back into essentially the game, not losing the account. So I put on much more size than what was permissible. And as I was kind of looking around the internet, I saw that that lot size limit rule. So later on, about a week later, when I passed the challenge, I was contacting support and they said, well, when you pass phase 2, you're going to have to redo phase 1. So going into phase 2, my psychology was already kind of messed up from this announcement. And I was not feeling good about phase 2 because usually when you get into phase 2, you have this mindset, okay, that I can slow down, that I'm going to be okay, that I only have to make 5%. That was not the case with me. I was feeling like I was even worse than phase 1. So because of that, that caused me to over leverage. And I feel like wasn't a good spot for me to be mentally. And I probably should have, you know, stepped back and taken a better approach from that. But also at the same time, I wish I had known more clearly, or I wish I had had a better understanding of the rules when I bought this, because, you know, the advertisements I had seen on YouTube or Instagram, whatever, right? None of this was advertised. It was just advertised how, you know, the standard advertisement of how you can become a professional trader, things of that nature. There was no hidden rules or the initial drawdown daily limit rules anywhere on anything I had seen until I passed phase 1. So that caught me for a surprise. And I don't want you guys falling for that same kind of trap. So be careful of that. But let's actually hop over quick to the pricing so you guys can see how this compares to other firms before we move on to my concluding thoughts. So one interesting thing that Toptiertrader actually does do is they offer the customizable challenges, which is a bit of a new thing in the industry. So if we look at everything they include, let's look at the max price here. It's going to be about $950 rounded, and their cheapest challenge is going to be about $499, about $500. Now, if I was constructing a challenge for myself, for example, let's say something I'd like to do, or maybe you would like to do as an average trader, let's kind of see what we would do here. All right, so news trading, if we want to hold through news, weekend holding, if we want to trade or hold our trades for the weekend, if we're a swing trader, I don't use an EA. I guess I could reduce this. I don't need to because, once again, I will keep in mind that if you reduce the profit target to 8, your max drawdown also reduces to 8. So I actually prefer to keep the max drawdown at 10 in the case that I were to be able to get a funded account with this firm. So 90-10 profit split, that might be attractive to some people, the 14 days. Now, see, these things add up quickly. Like what you want can kind of change very quick what you're getting. So in terms of price. So for me, I might only select weekend trading and news trading, but for others, they might want other things. So let's say the average account in reality is going to be about $600 to $650 for the 100K account. Now, they do offer discounts going on. I think they range from about 10 to 20% as the industry standard. So you can take, $50 off, let's call it, right? So about $500 to $600 is going to be what you're looking at, depending if they have an even better discount going at the time, which could be the case. All right, guys, in my concluding thoughts for this prop firm, I will say that the hidden rules can be a big detractor from this firm. And in my personal experience, I probably will not work with this firm again just because the rules are a little bit too stringent when it comes to cryptocurrency trading. However, in terms of their payout structure, it is solid, and I do believe they have paid out. There's many videos of proof on social media and their website showing the payouts. So if you are able to get an account and stick by the rules, which do happen to be a little stringent, I would say this firm is okay. Now, also at the same time, since the rules are so strict on this firm, many traders are not going to be able to get a payout even if they can pass the challenge. So I would recommend deeply looking into the rules on the website, which I will include a link in the description below for you guys to look at, to make a decision about whether or not, okay, should I spend my money on this as a trader going for this prop firm. Now, they are based in the US and they do offer accounts to US clients, so that is a bonus. But at the same time, you want to be very careful in the prop firm industry now as regulations tighten and kind of say, okay, where am I going to be able to choose a firm that I can stay with that doesn't get shut out? All right, thank you guys for watching the video, and if you guys have any extra questions, please leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try to get back to you on that. All right, thanks guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.